Good evening, everyone. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have roll call, please?
Supervisor McGlasson?
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Present.
Councilman Toppori?
Here.
Councilman Ruthven?
Here.
And Councilman Boyd?
Here.
All present.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, before we start the meeting tonight, Deputy Supervisor Ruffin and I are gonna step over here.
Yeah.
So, Tara, do you wanna come over here? So, a couple weeks ago, Tara was honored by the 94th Assembly District with Matt Slater as a Woman of Distinction. So tonight we want to present you with this award. You've been with the town of Kent for 24 years. Tara was not only the first female lieutenant in Kent, but also in Putnam County. She helps not only our department, but our whole community, and we're just very fortunate to have her. So we would like to present this to you on behalf of the board.
I know the lieutenant is very modest and doesn't want to say a bunch of stuff, but she really is the person who holds the department together. She gives back to the community all the time. You can see by all the officers that are here and personnel, everybody supports her and loves her, and we're blessed to have her.
You guys can all go now, because I know you don't want to stay. Good night.
Oh, Tara,
Tara,
do you want to?
I'll give them a minute to go. All right. So I make a motion to open our public hearing for the removal of a planning board member.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have been made aware that a planning board member has not been in attendance since January. So we need to remove the planning board member.
Okay. John, what should we do?
I make a resolution, removal of
Can
a...
I just
Oh, yeah,
interrupt
please,
for a
go ahead.
second and maybe just double check, verify whether anyone wants to be heard on the
Oh,
matter?
does anyone want to be heard? Everyone's good.
And just to stipulate, we're removing this person because they failed to meet what would be like basically their duty to show up so many times, and they've failed to show within that amount of times, and so we're removing them because of
Right,
that.
they haven't showed in February, March, April,
No
May.
phone calls, no emails, no contact that that person has made.
No.
That's right, and the town code has a provision that says if a planning board member fails to attend 3 consecutive regularly scheduled meetings, then they are subject to dismissal. And it's been
More than that.
much more than 3.
Yeah, and again, with no contact from that person
No.
in any way to make
No.
a reason why. No health issues, nothing, okay, very good. All right, I make a resolution, the removal of a Town of Kent Planning Board member. Town of Kent, County of
sorry,
Putnam County, State of New York.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have
Yes.
to close the public hearing.
Ah, very good.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now you're up, sorry.
Very good, okay. I make a resolution, the removal of a Town of Kent Planning Board member. Let's see. Whereas pursuant to Code 4.7-4 of the Town Code and Town Law 271, parentheses 9, the town board has the power, after holding a public hearing, to remove any regular or alternative member of the planning board for cause or for failing to comply with the minimum meeting attendance established in the town code or by town law. And whereas pursuant to 4.7-2 of the town code, and regular planning board member who fails to attend 3 consecutive regular scheduled planning board meetings in a calendar year shall be subject to removal. And Whereas the planning board has advised that the planning board member Phil Tomac has failed to attend any meetings since January of 2023. And whereas upon resolution of the town board of the town of Kent, New York, adopted by said board on May 16, 2023, a public hearing was held by the town board on June 6, 2023, to consider the removal of Mr. Tolmack as a member of the Town of Kent Planning Board, and all interested persons were invited to attend and participate. Whereas the town board believes it is to be in the best interest of the town to remove Phil Tolmack from the Town of Kent Planning Board. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the Town of Kent finds Phil Tolmack to be in violation of 4.7-2 of the Town Code, having missed 3 consecutive regular scheduled meetings of the Planning Board. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Kent hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Kent hereby authorizes its town clerk, Yolanda D. Caponelli, to advertise for applicants for the Town of Kent Planning Board. I make this motion.
Is there any more on the second page?
Oh, yes, sir.
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to the
back.
meeting.
Yeah, they give it to me.
You got it.
Our next item is to declare lead agency for Eustis Park for SECRA. We, as many of you may know, we are working on improving Eustis Park. We're going to be constructing bathrooms, a pavilion, multi-purpose court, and new playground, new parking lot. So we need to be established as the lead agency and start the SECRA process.
I know you had plans for what you had mentioned, but do you have the actual plan that's going to go there? Because 2 years ago, when Jared brought it forward, it was just still a discussion.
So we have the plans, yes, we do.
Okay.
We have.
And we know the cost?
Yeah. So the plans haven't changed much since what Jared brought forward.
But that was just a presentation. It was
Yeah.
never that we're accepting this or that the public saw it and everybody kind of agreed on it. You know, and I wanted to know how much it costs because, you know, priorities, you have the dam, you have Eustis Field, you have different projects out there, and as a taxpayer, we're going to be able to afford it.
So this Eustis project was, we got a big grant. You're
Right, about $1 million.
About $1 million, and then we were gonna earmark some of our town, ARPA funds for the remainder of it. And we have a grant from Sandy Gala still sitting out there. How much was that for?
125,
425?
125,000.
Oh, 100.
And how much was the ARPA money?
The ARPA money will cover the balance, a couple $100,000.
So that's what I was wondering, do we have a total of what this is going to cost?
There was a total, for some reason in my.
Do you think at the next meeting you could let us-
1.3 or something?
I think it was 1.3, that's a,
1.3?
so we're only.
And that's past the engineering, because you know with the engineering, yes,
Yes,
Yes, the engineering was covered.
it was covered.
yes.
Yeah, okay, that's what I just wanted to make sure.
So there's not a whole, very little, if
It's just
any.
that, I'm sorry, but you know, my kids grew up down there, it's a horrible field, it has sinkholes. I'd hate to see a couple $1 million go into something that is just going to keep creating sinkholes.
We have a plan to try to correct that also.
I hope so.
We've talked to them about that, but, you know, in the long run, we're gonna have a multi-use court there. We're gonna have a new playground, we're gonna have a building with a restroom facility, and,
It sounds beautiful, Chris, again, you know, I just know what that
no,
property
we don't
looks
wanna,
like.
we don't wanna invest a ton of money into a park that's not usable. We're gonna make
Right,
it
or
usable.
going to have sinkholes after you put all that money
Yeah.
in there.
We've talked to the engineer about those sinkholes and
Mm-hmm.
his recommendations and what we can do to correct that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
We good on this? Any other comments on it? I'll read it.
you have it? Okay.
I'd like to make a resolution regarding lead agency for Eustis Park expansion project, whereas the town of Kent desires to improve Eustis Park by constructing a bathroom facility and pavilion, multi-use sport court, new parking lot, and reconfiguring the existing parking lot and repaving the existing basketball court, hereinafter referred to as the project, and whereas pursuant to whereas pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.6, the town board seeks to be established as lead agency as part of the undertaking to coordinate review of this project with any involved and interested agencies, whereas the town board considers the proposed project to be an unlisted action pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA 6 NYCRR Part, and whereas Insight Engineering on behalf of the town board has prepared the full environmental assessment form, FEAF, in accordance with SECRA and seeks to circulate a notice of intent to be lead agency notice by mail and email to all involved and interested agencies, who shall be given 30 days to deliver any comments in response to this notice that such other involved or interested entity may have regarding the town board taking on lead agency role. Now therefore it be resolved that the town board of Kent classifies the project as an unlisted action pursuant to standards in the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Kent hereby is authorized to sign Part 1 of the FEAF, page 13, and be it further resolved that it is the intention of the town board of the town of Kent to declare itself as lead agency for SECRA coordinated review of this action, and be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby directs the coordination of intent for lead agency designation with all involved agencies for the project through the service of a notice of intent indicating that the town board of the town of Kent seeks to be designated as lead agency for this action. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next item is for the request to sell town-owned property. Nancy, do you want to explain this one?
Sure. There's a property at 251 Towners Road, I believe, and the homeowner owns the home on one side. There's an area that's her driveway that is actually on property owned by the town, and then the lot on the other side. She's proposing to purchase that lot, and she's given us an offer of $200. Gone out and had a meets and bounds survey done, so we know exactly the area that she's proposing to purchase. And if we agree to the sale, then she'll have one lot for her entire property instead of using town property for a driveway. We've talked about this before. I believe the board is in agreement that that particular property, which was at one time thought of as access to a larger space behind it, that's never going to be developed or used by the town, so it's really not needed by the town. So under town law, the town board does have the authority to sell the property for the best price it can possibly get, subject to a permissive referendum. So you're deciding today whether or not you want to sell the property, and if you do, then you'll adopt a resolution approving the sale for $200. And there will be a waiting period of 30 days to see if anyone comes forward with a petition to request a referendum on the sale.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes?
I thought this property was a paper road.
It's not a paper road.
Okay, because the last time you brought it forward, it was a paper road, which the town doesn't own paper roads. So that a developer behind that didn't own that. And when we've sold property, I mean, it's been 20 years for a driveway that hasn't paid taxes, and for $200, I mean, you don't have to have an assessment on that? Or an appraised price on that?
We've asked for an appraisal, we've gotten back comps. We've asked the assessor for his opinion as well. I'm not advocating one way or another, I'm just, telling you the offer that was made by someone who finds some value in the property.
And is there property next to it towards another house, or is it all vacant?
No. There's nothing. The town owns the property behind it, but it's up a very, very steep bank. It's
Right.
never going to be an access for us to get to that property. If ever we were to use it, we would come in from the Ryan's Park entrance to that property.
Right, well, like I said the last
And
time.
both sides of this property is owned by the same owner.
Okay, all right.
It's a very little tiny, just piece.
Well, I saw the parking lot, so, okay.
Well, it's not the whole driveway, it's
No.
just a portion of the
Just a
driveway.
little bit of it.
The last time I was here, they showed the whole picture of the parking lot.
So the parking lot is over the driveway entrance on the other parcel of their property. It's just a narrow little strip up the middle between the two. I'm all in favor of this, and the value to me is, it's more important that we're putting it back on the tax rolls, even as though it's a very small piece. It hasn't done anything or made any profit for the town, and having it be taxable is a good thing, I think, moving forward. On the same note, just as a workshop item, I went down to the assessor and asked him to look up the entire list of properties that the town of Kent owns, and I was shocked by the stack of these properties. It was pages and pages. So I'd like to bring it up to the town board that we start to think of ways to offer these properties to the adjacent neighbors and stuff to try to get some of these properties back on the tax rolls. They're not doing the town of Kent any good with what they're doing with them now.
Right, yeah. And with the county, when the county has the properties, they go up for auction. And the town, we were encouraged also back then to, you know, to get the property owners to give a price. Again, that's where the appraisals came in. You know, so it's like, to me, you're setting a precedent, so.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what's going on with the county now. They are putting them up with auction. I just dealt with this past week. And if they don't sell at the auction, they're basically just sitting there. And if somebody calls up and offers the county a very low, reasonable rate, they're making those moves right now just to try to get them back on the tax rolls again.
Right, but again, they used to notify, that's why I was asking, was there anybody next door? Because they would notify the people so that everybody had a chance, not just one neighbor had a
No,
chance to
And I think
purchase
that's a
it.
fair point, that we make sure that they're kind of listed out there for
Right.
everybody. A lot of these properties, I would think, they didn't get developed for a reason, because they probably are undevelopable. The only thing they're gonna be worthwhile to anybody is if you have an adjacent property and you want to expand for a shed or a swimming pool, and it gives you the setbacks or
Right.
whatever you need to be able to do that, but we have to make it fair and equal. We're not just gonna say,
Right.
you're the only one that we're gonna offer it to.
And the rules were, when you bought that extra piece of property from the town, because they usually were undersized, you couldn't put an addition on your house. It was used for a driveway, a pool, or to extend your sewer, your septic.
You say rules, where were those rules?
I think it's in the town code. I don't know if you look up one of the properties that the town has sold, it might be attached to the deed.
We could take a look. This is very preliminary. This
You know,
is
but I
something we
mean,
want to
it's-
look at.
No, you're really testing my, my brain, but that's what I remember, that it couldn't
There
be
was
where it was an addition.
Another property that was going through the planning board that, we started looking at the maps, and I kept saying, what is all this town of Kent property around this? And they said, it's just vacant property that sits there.
Yeah.
So the wheels were turning, that maybe we ought to think about putting those
No, we
properties
were
on
told
the
to
tax roll.
encourage people to do that years
Yeah.
ago, and, some people did buy it, but I'm sure there's more out there.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You good on this one? You want to read it?
Sure. I make a resolution to authorize the sale of unneeded town property, whereas the town of Kent is the owner of a parcel of vacant land adjacent to Towner's Road in Kent, New York, as more fully set forth in the annexed meets and bounds description, hereinafter referred to as the property. And whereas Mrs. Lynn Bruno owns the parcel at 251 Towner's Road, which adjoins two sides of the property, and Mrs. Bruno wishes to purchase the property to create one parcel. And whereas pursuant to Town Law 64, parentheses 2, the town board is authorized to sell real property at private sale pursuant to a resolution which is subject to a permissive referendum, and provided the property is unneeded for town purposes and an adequate consideration is received. And whereas the property adjoining the Bruno property line is currently not being used for any public purpose, and there is no future use contemplated for that portion of the property, and is therefore unnecessary for town purposes. And whereas Mrs. Bruno has offered the town to pay the town the sum of $200 in exchange for the property, now therefore be it resolved that the town board finds that the property adjoining the Bruno property line is currently not being used for any public purpose, and there is no future use contemplated for that portion of the property, and is therefore unnecessary for town purposes. And it is of no value to anyone other than Mrs. Bruno, and be it further resolved that the town board agrees to sell the property to Mrs. Bruno for the sum of $200, subject to permissive referendum, and be it further resolved that as a condition of the sale, Mrs. Bruno is responsible for any and all fees in connection with the sale of the property and a lot line change application to the planning board. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Our next item is for Parks and Rec. The first is, we originally had this for a removal of one tree, and then we found that there was 2 trees that needed to be removed, and I got all the quotes in today. And the lowest quote to remove the 2 trees is with Larry Reynolds Tree Service, Inc. for $2,200. So we just have to change the resolution a little bit.
All right, so we're going from go through it quick.
Here, I wrote it
Oh,
out.
you have the written quotes?
I have all the quotes. You want the quotes?
No, this is where we're at.
This is who we're going with.
So 22.
I did receive 3 quotes, and and Larry Reynolds was the lowest. We thought there was only one tree that needed to be taken down because it
So
was
this is for
dangerous, and
2
there was,
trees.
and that, there was actually 2, yes.
Right.
And they're in the park, so it's dangerous. We need to take them down.
Okay, I think I
All
got
right.
it. I'd like to make a motion to pass a resolution accepting a quote for the removal of 2 trees at Edward Ryan Memorial Park. Whereas there is a need for the removal of 2 trees at Edward Ryan Memorial Park, and whereas in accordance with the town's procurement policy, the town requested quotes for the removal of the trees and received 3 written quotes in response. Copies of such quotes are attached hereto and incorporated hereby. And whereas John, what was it, Larry Reynolds?
Larry Reynolds Tree Service, Inc.
Larry Reynolds Tree Service, Inc. has submitted the lowest quote in the total amount of $2,200. And whereas the town board of the town of Kent wishes to accept the quote submitted by Larry Reynolds Tree Service, Inc. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby approves the removal of the trees at Edward Ryan Memorial Park by Larry Reynolds Tree Service, Inc. at a price not to exceed $2,200. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next item for Parks and Rec is, we need to hire one more seasonal maintenance worker. It's to hire Tim White, and we had hired, we took a poll, and we're approving him as of May, I'm sorry, not May. Let me just look at the date here. As of June 1st. Oh, not that.
Who was it for?
Tim White?
Tim White. So it's not May 30th, it's June 1st,
Yes.
the rate?
That we have the chart that we approved prior, the pay scale.
Is it the starting
No, he gets the first year rate.
first year rate?
Yep,
All right, we'll just say.
because he's returning from last year.
So it's, was it second year rate?
Well, no, he's not a new employee, this is his second summer, so it's like the first step, it's like,
Step 1?
yes.
So we just say the hourly rate at step 1?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because we had approved all the salaries,
Okay.
remember?
Somebody else want to do it, or I
Yeah,
got
I'll
it?
do it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion to adopt a resolution to hire seasonal park maintenance worker for recreation and parks. Whereas the town of Kent is seeking to fill a vacant position for a seasonal park maintenance worker for the Recreation and Parks Department. And whereas by letter dated May 30th, 2023, Karen Schuman, Senior Recreation Assistant, has recommended the hiring of Tim White, retroactive to June 1st, 2023, to work under the supervision of Chris Kehoe, effective immediately. And whereas the town board wishes to accept the recommendation as further detailed above, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the hiring of Tim White as seasonal park maintenance worker for the Recreation and Parks Department at the hourly rate of step 1 employees, effective immediately. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We just did Parks and Rec, we
Yeah,
hired the
it's a Parks and
seasonal.
Rec one.
We're hiring a seasonal worker for Parks and Rec, and we're hiring seasonal for
the
Lake
next one.
Carmel. Because unfortunately, a couple of our seasonal workers didn't show up, so now we have to hire different ones. So, they didn't show up for the first day of work, so. And we need workers. Okay, so our next item, so now we're on Lake Carmel. And we are going to hire we need to hire a seasonal worker. Crew Chief Frank Sabatini recommends hiring Emily Kovalek, Ryan Terwilliger, and Jacob Aiello for the 2023 season. They would be receiving the rate of pay set at $15 for seasonal workers. I'm asking that we hire those 3 seasonal workers as we need to keep up on mowing and upkeep around the lake.
Okay. I'd like to make a resolution to hire seasonal workers for Lake Carmel Park District, whereas the Lake Carmel Park District is seeking to fill positions of seasonal Lake Carmel maintenance workers, and whereas by email dated May 25th, 2023, the Lake Carmel Park District Clerk Heidi Link informed the town board that Frank Sabatini, the Lake Carmel Park District crew chief, has recommended hiring Emily Kovalek, say that right? Ryan Terwilliger, and Jacob Ayello at a pay rate of $15 per hour to fill these positions, and whereas the town board believes it to be in the best interests of the town to accept the crew chief's recommendations, now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the hiring of Emily Kovalek, Ryan Terwilliger, and Jacob Ayello as seasonal maintenance workers for the Lake Carmel Park District at a rate of $15 per hour, and be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next item now is to hire lifeguards. So we are rehiring the following lifeguards for the 2023 season at a rate of $15.50 an hour. We actually, on a side note, have 20 lifeguards this year. So
That's fantastic.
we're gonna have to start turning them away.
That's a good problem.
I know,
really
it is. We have not had that problem before, so I'm just asking that we rehire these. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 of them. At $15.50, because these are returning lifeguards, so this is their second season with us. So they get the 50 cents more.
I'm going to recuse myself for this one. Somebody else can take it.
I'll read it. I make a motion to adopt a resolution to hire Lake Carmel Park District lifeguards. Whereas the town of Kent is seeking to fill the summer positions of lifeguards in the Lake Carmel Park District, LCPD, and whereas James Garbarino, the LCPD lifeguard supervisor, has recommended the rehiring of the lifeguards as shown on the list dated May 25th, 2023, annexed here to and incorporated herein by reference for the 2023 season, and whereas the town board desires to accept the recommendations of Mr. Garbarino, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the hiring as further detailed on the annexed list for the 2023 season at a rate of $15.50 per hour. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution. I make that motion.
Second.
All in
Roll
favor?
call.
Councilwoman Campbell,
Yes, aye.
Councilman Tempori,
Aye.
Councilman Ruthven,
Abstain.
Councilman Boyd,
Aye.
Supervisor McGlasson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Just for the record, Deputy Supervisor Ruthven recused himself, not because he doesn't like the lifeguards, but because one of the lifeguards is his daughter. So I don't want the lifeguards thinking you don't like them, you're not happy. Are you jealous?
Yeah.
Do you have as many at the park?
No.
Do you need some?
Yes.
Can't have ours. Okay. All right, our next item for Lake Carmel is to approve a handbook for the lifeguards. So for years, they have been signing the handbook for town hall employees, and the majority of the handbook does not pertain to them because they're only here for the summer. So my confidential secretary took apart the handbook and put all the parts that would pertain to the lifeguards into a Town of Kent employee handbook for lifeguards. So I'm asking that we approve it tonight so that they sign this rather than something that doesn't pertain to them.
Nice job. Thank you.
Any comments, concerns? No?
It's a lot of rules.
Well, this is less than if we gave them the,
It's good, though. You want to take one, Sean?
Sure. I make a motion to make a resolution approving the Town of Kent Employee Handbook for Lifeguards. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Kent wishes to adopt the Town of Kent Employee Handbook for Lifeguards, which sets forth the Town of Kent's personal policies and practices specific to lifeguards, and now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Kent does hereby adopt and approve the Town of Kent Employee Handbook for Lifeguards, and be it further resolved that a copy of the Employee Handbook for Lifeguards shall be distributed to all the Town of Kent lifeguards within 30 days of this resolution. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give the effect to this resolution. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we went out to bid about a month ago, maybe a little more than that, for a FEMA recovery assistance, and we received 3 proposals. One proposal had absolutely nothing to do with FEMA assistance, so we are not accepting that one, but we are going to accept the other two consulting firms so that we have an option like we do with our
Right.
engineering firms.
We're going to make a list of on-call options.
So,
We do that for our trades also. We have an ability to call a plumber if we need a plumber, as long as it's somebody on our list.
yes. So I'm asking that we approve the 2 tonight that submitted the bids.
Second. You ready?
Yep.
Is this the right one? Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to pass a resolution accepting bids for FEMA disaster recovery assistance, whereas the town of Kent duly advertised for bids for companies to assist with FEMA disaster recovery process, and whereas the town of Kent received 2 bids in response to the advertisements, and whereas the town wishes to accept the bid of Meridian Strategic Services, Inc.
And
TMG Consulting LLC to provide assistance with the FEMA disaster recovery process. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Kent hereby accepts the bids of Meridian Strategic Services, Inc. and TMG Consulting LLC to provide assistance with the FEMA disaster recovery process consistent with the bid documents. I make this motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item is our water districts. We have gone out with our engineering services to start the process of, looking at the water district, seeing what has to be changed. So tonight we have to approve the engineering services and accept the SECRA. Do you have anything you want to say since you've been really involved with this?
Yeah, that those systems were original to when McGlasson Contracting put those in on Lee side, which was in the, early 70s, and all that equipment is pretty much the same as it was back then. The water tower up on Lee side is ready to fall apart, slide down the hill, kind of thing, so they're in desperate need of repairs, monies, and you have to start, obviously, get the grant monies, you have to have the engineers come in and determine what's wrong, how much it's gonna cost, so that we can then submit those, that paperwork forward to get the monies. So that's what this is.
Yes, so the cost for the engineering service from Barton and LaJudas is $18,500, and that's what that's the first portion that I'm asking to approve tonight, and then we'll do the SECRA.
Should I say a bit about the grant?
You can.
Yeah, so with the consolidated funding application cycle, there is a program called WIA. I forget what the abbreviation stands for, but it's Water Infrastructure Improvement Opportunity. And that's has a 40% match up to $600,000. So if we can get some of that funding, that's going to greatly facilitate this project. But the first step is to get the engineering reports done. We can't apply for the grant without knowing exactly what it is that we're applying for. So this is a very important first step. And Barton and LaJudas are also willing to go ahead and submit the application. So it's kind of a seamless process.
Any other comments?
Take that, Sean, that was yours.
Is this it?
Here, you want?
Yep,
There's 2 of them.
Is there
Just
2
we
of
have to
them?
read
Not
both.
the lead agency, that's the offer.
Well, we're
Gotcha.
reading both, we're gonna do both tonight.
This is the first
Right,
one.
okay.
All right. I make a resolution authorizing engineering services in connection with funding applications for the town of Kent drinking water systems. Whereas the town board of Kent is in receipt of a proposal from Barton and LaJudas to provide engineering services in connections with the preparation of a WIA funding application in connection with the town of Kent drinking water systems, a copy of which is annexed hereto and hereby incorporated herein. And whereas the town board wishes to accept the quote of Barton and LaJudas consistent with the aforementioned proposal. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby accepts the proposal of Barton and LaJudas to provide engineering services consistent with the proposal. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute any document necessary to give effect to this resolution in forms acceptable to the town supervisor and the town attorney. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Want that back?
Now it's the
Now it's the
lead agency.
secret, yep.
All right, make a motion for a resolution regarding lead agency for the Town of Kent Water System Improvement Project. Whereas the Town of Kent is proposing the Town of Kent Water System Improvements Project located in the Town of Kent, Putnam County, New York, and whereas the project has been classified as a Type 1 action as defined by the State Environmental Quality Review Act in 6 NYCRR Part 617.4, and whereas it is the intent of the Town of Kent Town Board to assume the role of a lead agency for purposes of conducting a SEQRA/SERP assessment of the project, and whereas one of the full environmental assessment form has been completed, reviewed by the Town of Kent Town Board, and will be circulated to all interested and involved agencies for purposes of establishing the Town of Kent Board as lead agency in accordance with 6 NYCRR Part 617.6, Part B. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Kent hereby is authorized to sign Part 1 of the FEAF, page 13, and be it further resolved that the Town of Kent will send said Part 1 of the FEAF and associated site figures for the attached list of interested involved agencies under cover of the notice of intent to establish a lead agency, letter for purposes of establishing lead agency status under all these letters, abbreviations that I'm not even sure what they
That
stand
was
for.
SEQRA.
SEQRA, yes.
I don't know what SERP is.
Yeah, so SEQRA/SERP, and be it further resolved that the supervisor of the Town of Kent, the Town Board, together with the Town of Kent attorney and Barton and LaJudas are hereby authorized to take all actions, serve all notices, and complete all documents required to give full force and effect to this determination. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. And then when we go out, because each one needs different amounts of work or whatever, then it will be, the bonds will be different. Everything from that point on is different. Yes.
Bill Walters, Building Inspector. Question about this water district that's going in. It's been put in the late 60s, 70s. A lot of those water districts have fire hydrants that are in there. They're not meant for fire protection. Is there any thought about upgrading the piping in those water districts so they could be used for fire protection? That would allow every homeowner in that water district to reduce their fire protection on their taxes through their insurance company. Just a thought.
Well, it's a great idea.
You know, I mean, they've got hydrants that are there. They're strictly for flushing purposes. The fire department has no history on them. They've never been, they don't hook up to them at all. They have to truck water in. But if you're going to do a study, if you do an upgrade to the system, I would highly recommend increasing the size of the piping and hydrants for fire protection. That would allow the homeowners a break on their fire insurance.
Good idea.
That's all.
That's interesting, Bill. I never realized that there was fire hydrants that you couldn't hook a fire truck up to. They're
Yeah.
only put in to flush the water system.
They're strictly there for flushing the water main, and God only knows the last time it was done.
That's interesting. I
Good
didn't know
idea.
that existed.
No?
Yeah, and I would say that a lot of the monies aren't really for that infrastructure side of it, but mostly for the pumps, the wells, in the storage side of it.
Right. Just,
If we could budget it in, or the
just,
monies?
just a thought.
Oh, no, I love it, yeah,
No,
no,
just a
absolutely.
thought.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't think about that as a fireman, obviously that's, you've got that, and I'm not there,
Yeah.
so that's great, yeah.
So,
Would we need to accept a revised quote from Barton and Lejudas if they're going to add that to their study, which I'd certainly be in favor of doing?
Probably just a phone call first to see if it's actually something they can do. They may say that that's not.
it may not be
part of the monies.
feasible. I
It
mean,
may not be
but,
part of the grant.
but it's
Yeah.
something to look at. If
Right.
it's feasible, you should probably think about doing that.
I'll make a call.
We could amend it later on if we have
Yep.
to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay. We good?
Yeah.
Okay. Next item is from the zoning board. We are regrettably accepting a resignation from Ronald Hanson Sr., who has been on the board for 5 years, and he is retiring and going to be spending part of the year in Florida, so he can no longer be part of the zoning board. So I ask that we regrettably accept his resignation.
I can read.
Okay.
I make a motion to adopt a resolution accepting the resignation of member and advertising for new members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Whereas the town of Kent wishes to accept the resignation of Ronald J. Hanson Sr. as member and vice chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and whereas the town board of the town of Kent wishes to advertise for applicants for the vacant position on the Zoning Board of Appeals, now therefore be it resolved that the town board accepts the resignation of Ronald J. Hanson Sr. as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals with thanks for his service, and be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Kent hereby authorizes its town clerk, Yolanda D. Capelli, to advertise for applicants to the town of Kent Zoning Board of Appeals. I make this motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next item is the excavation. Chris, I'm going to let you
All right,
discuss this because,
So we thought we were ready to declare lead agency tonight, but one of our resident public town board consultants that's here tonight came up and said that at the planning board workshop the other night, the consultants that have been working on this for us said that they needed to make a few more tweaks to the final draft. So what's posted out there right now, it says final draft on it, is not really going to be final draft. We're going to take that off the website, and we hope to get that back and do it at our next meeting. So we're going to drop H tonight.
okay. All right. Our next item is a grant update on all the grants that we've been working on. Ann Campbell is going to update us on everything.
Okay, so July is apparently a very busy season in the world of state grants. There are some major opportunities, including the consolidated funding opportunities and Hudson River estuary programs and so forth. So you have in the backup a list of some of the grants that are likely to be in process. I want to introduce some of them tonight, and I'm looking for a vote from the board on whether or not to proceed with the applications. The first one on the list we actually already voted on. This would be through the Water Quality Improvement Program of the New York State DEC. We have a temporary salt shed at Smoky Hollow Court, quite close to the reservoir. There's the potential for salt to leach into that reservoir. And there's an opportunity here with a 25% match if it's a high priority project, which we believe this is because of the proximity to the reservoir. The estimated project cost is $400,000. The remainder would have to either be covered through ARPA funding or through a bond. But the town board did vote to go ahead with that application, and so that's already in process with Millennium Strategies. Also, new this year, one of the frustrations that we've had with trying to get the repair of the Lake Carmel Dam is that a lot of the funding agencies didn't seem to support that. We were able to get the $100,000 grant for the initial study on the dam, but there didn't seem to be any significant funds available. We have applied for a congressional appropriation, at least to get the engineering costs of $1.3 million, but meanwhile, WQIP this year has an opportunity. It's a limit of $5 million, which might not be quite enough, but we want to go ahead and apply. This would require a 25% match, which would have to be through a bond. And we probably have most of what we need for the application because of the engineering study that was already done by Insight and Schnabel. So I'm looking for a vote tonight. And I don't know if board colleagues here, if you want to do these one by one, or we can discuss and debate and then vote as a package on which ones we want to go after. I'm happy to just talk through the remaining ones first.
Can you go down through the list?
Okay,
Can we do a
all right, I'll keep
blanket?
going then. Okay, now, the New York State WIA grant, we already discussed, that's the one that Barton and LaJudas is working on, and we just voted to go ahead and have them prepare the reports. And then from Climate Smart Communities, we applied last year, and unfortunately were not successful, to get $100,000 in funding from the Smart Growth Program. So this would support a comprehensive plan update according to principles that are designated as smart growth planning principles, just, logical kinds of things to do from a climate standpoint as you work on your comprehensive plan. It only has a 10% match required, and since we already have a lot of that work done from last time around, we're interested in resubmitting that grant. If we do that, we would probably frame it in terms of that a comprehensive plan update is pending, because the board has been discussing that possibility, and I think there is an intent to do this, whether or not we achieve the Climate Smart funding. And then there are two opportunities that we're looking at through Hudson River Estuary. Hudson River Estuary is the branch of DEC that funded the natural resources inventory that we're working on right now. So we have a document in preparation by Hudsonia, a nonprofit environmental organization. They actually will probably be at our next town board meeting to present some of the work that's been going on and give you a tour of what this document is beginning to look like. The natural resource inventory is a planning document. It has a lot of the kinds of information that might ordinarily go into a comprehensive plan, but it's more detailed on the environmental resources and natural resources that we have. It also includes a lot of recommendations for how to ensure that those resources are preserved. And you may have heard also that we have this unique biodiversity inventory work that's being done as part of the NRI. That's something special that Kent is doing through Bill Buck and Beth Herr, two naturalists, biologists. And that work is very exciting. So meanwhile, we have the NRI process going. We have a committee that's been discussing these different potential actions we can take. And two of the recommendations that we think are quite important are, one, to develop an open space inventory and plan so that we know the areas that we feel should be left intact in the town, ways to make sure that environmental corridors are left connected while still promoting the kinds of development that are appropriate, and so forth. So that would require a lot of community and volunteer time, and also possibly a consultant. There is an opportunity through Hudson River Estuary to apply, if we can get it in by July 12th. We're estimating this would cost around $30,000. And we probably could make up much of the match with volunteer time. So possibly the group that's been working on the NRI and other interested members of the community would come together to work on an open space plan. The other one is a groundwater mapping and protection plan. And one of the things that has really struck me as I've been involved with the town is that we are pretty much 100% reliant on groundwater. Right? We're not getting water out of these reservoirs. Right? It's all coming from wells, whether it's the water district or the well in your backyard. And so it's highly recommended that we do some mapping of the groundwater, not just the sort of distributed aquifers, but just overall groundwater mapping, and again, developing a plan to protect those aquifers to ensure that we do have a continuing supply of clean water for the town. This would be an engineering study, not so much community involvement. We're estimating also that it might cost around $30,000. The match would have to come from town funds or ARPA funding, but it's not a huge amount of money. So those are two things we'd like to go after from Hudson River Estuary. The other thing we haven't talked about yet is there's some opportunities for MS4 grants, so there may be some additional things we'll bring to the next meeting, but that's what we have in the pipeline so far, and that's actually a lot for our agency to be working on for us. So I think that's it.
Great.
So for discussion, is there any of these grants that the board does not want to go for? Here's my theory on grants, is even if it's something when we get it, if we get awarded it and we just feel we don't have the time or the ability to do it that time, or that we just turn it down. It doesn't hurt to apply. We're paying a grant firm to apply for grants. We might as well take advantage of them and have them apply for it, and then we can get a little bit better scope of what we want to do with it. Certainly, I'm in favor of all of them at this point. I don't see anything wrong with any of them. My only concern is when it comes to the match, if we have the money and the funding to do that, then that's something that can be discussed. Even if we get awarded to it and we say, listen, we just can't afford it, we just turn it back, we turn it down again. So that's my stand on them right now.
And we've already approved the first one
Yes.
And the third.
and the
And the third.
third. Okay.
So
And
it's really the dam, the smart growth resubmission, and then these two related to the natural resources inventory. So it's 4 that we're, would be voting on, applying for.
And with the grant company, do we pay per grant that we apply for, or
No,
just a
flat
flat
rate.
fee
Flat fee.
that we pay for them?
Yep.
We pay monthly, same amount.
Okay.
And they've done well for us. We've been very, very successful in getting awarded grants.
Yeah, some of them, like you're saying, that we have to cut spending somewhere.
Right.
So, I mean, we have to look at
And we have
the,
to look at what we got at the time that it gets awarded and see what our other, we got some big projects in the basket right now. We want to make sure we get through them. But,
100%, yes.
but it doesn't hurt to put the application in,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, you had me at groundwater in the last one. so.
All right.
So I make a motion to apply for these grants,
Do you have to list
Second.
them?
all of
Do we
them,
have,
all of them on the annex.
no, because
sheet.
we've already
Yeah,
approved
that's
2 of them.
exactly-
All of them plus the 2 we've already approved.
Is that good? Is that, okay. You make the motion? Did you make it?
Yeah.
Second, anyone?
Annie,
Second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
All right, you're up with vouchers.
Vouchers, a lot of vouchers. I ask the board to approve the following vouchers for June 6, 2023. Calculated fire protection, $8,340 for antifreeze replacement. That was for town hall? Yeah. Semco Water, $4,868.81 for Water District Number 1 operations. Cornerstone Appraisal Associates, $2,000 for lake stormwater and environmental consultant. D. Owens Electric, $5,600 for light pole replacement. Extreme Signs and Apparel, $2,152.45 for baseball uniforms. Global Montello Group, $8,128.51 for diesel, $3,783.15 for gas. Kevin Irwin, $3,042 for the prosecutor for April, May. JTR Transportation, $3,900 for the senior trip to Atlantic City. Whew, that must have been a good one. Kenny's Carpet, $6,234 for the courtroom carpet, which everybody can enjoy.
But a side note, that will be reimbursed to us. That is through the grant that the courts
Oh, good.
went through. So that will be reimbursed. We pay for it up front, and then
Very nice.
the town gets reimbursed.
Magna 5 MS, $4,950 for token configuration, managed.
Wait, time out. Let's just stop at that one for a second.
Oh, is
We
that-
now need to do 2-factor authentication for the town, and you have to buy these little tokens that give a code for you to enter, so that is the cost. Our insurance company required us to have the 2-factor and to have this, or else they would not give us cyber insurance, which nowadays you need cyber insurance. You can't, you have to have it.
So the purpose is so we don't get hacked. It makes it
Yes,
much more
if this is,
difficult
yes.
to get through. Very good.
So, okay,
Well,
sorry.
That's fine, but what are the 2 factors, do we know? Are we gonna have eye scanners?
The one is first one's your password, and the second one is that this little fob, Claudia has it on her key ring, I think, if you want to see it, and it gives you a code, and you enter the code, and that's,
There you go, Chris, it looks
Oh.
like that.
Oh, it's big.
Just like a lot of us do with our cell phones, if you use PayPal or something, right? It's the same system.
Right.
So
And
they're-
if we get
they're not
hacked,
using it on their cell phones?
excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't.
So I needed to to receive my emails on my cell phone.
You needed to enter the code.
Yes.
Yes.
The board does not?
No, we will too.
Oh, okay.
It's,
It's just a matter of time.
yep.
Hasn't gotten
We
to us
haven't,
yet.
they haven't gotten set up yet. He's
Okay.
doing it, it's a slow process. We're kind of going office by office, so we started this week. So we started end of last week, but we're making our way.
Managed Technologies of New York, $2,744.10 for the police laptop and $2,744.10, I guess, for another police laptop. Medicare reimbursement, $31,759.20 for second quarter reimbursements. Metal building restoration, $50,716.80 for requisition number 15 for the highway garage. Millennium Strategies, $3,000 for the grant services for May. Northeast Sweepers and Rentals, $54,060 for sweeper rentals. Nicomco, $2,970 for two-way radios for the police for June. Robert Green Truck Division, $56,767.27 for the police Dodge Durango. State Comptroller, $32,822 for Justice Court for April. Summit Bobcat, $6,744.55 for truck parts. Town of Kent Municipal Repairs, $2,655.87 for chargebacks for the February police, $12,121.21 for chargebacks for February sanitation. Turf Products, $27,898.89 for Sand Pro. Wind Carting, $8,500.60 for Lake Carmel garbage, $8,732.94 for Lake Carmel garbage, $8,670.22 for Lake Carmel garbage, $6,066.49 for Lake Carmel garbage, and $8,757.24 for Lake Carmel garbage. I ask the board to approve as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a couple of announcements. The first one is you can join us on Saturday, June 10th, from 9 to 12 for E-Waste Day and for Medication Take Back Day. It'll all be behind Town Hall, so come join us if you have anything with a plug. That is what E-Waste is, and any medication that you want. Yep.
Sue Kotzer. Medication take-back day, is it liquid medication also?
Is it liquid medication as well?
They would probably take it as long as it wasn't, in an approved container.
Okay, thank you.
So that is Saturday, June 10th, from 9 to 12. I don't have the flyers with me, so what else? Let's see, the fishing
Lake
derby.
Carmel Fishing Derby.
Lake Carmel Fishing Derby is on Saturday, June 17th. Come out, it starts at 8:30 registration. If
Beach
you-
3.
Beach 3. If you are over the age of, what is it? 16, you need to get a fish, need to have a fishing license.
Not over the age of 16, but if you were 16.
If you are,
16
oh, if
or
you're
older.
6,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, so you must be 15 or younger.
15 and 364 days or younger, okay. All right. That's all I have. Does anyone?
Just quick announcements that we were able to open the beaches on, Beach 3 on Memorial Day weekend. I hear it was crowded. It was a good turnout for it. Unfortunately, last weekend, the weather wasn't quite as nice, but we'll continue to be open with Beach 3 on weekends until we go to full open after high school's out.
I should mention that you may be familiar with all the events coming up at Arts on the Lake with the Global Water Dances event. I think they're starting with some kind of performance on Friday night. I have to say I wasn't prepared to talk about this, but I know for sure that on Saturday, so after you drop off your e-waste and you're already feeling really good environmentally, come on down to Arts on the Lake. We're having a sustainability sort of expo and fair. Organizations will be there like the Lakes Committee, Conservation Advisory Committee, Sustainable Putnam, and so forth. I think the galleries will be open, and then the water dance festival itself starts, I think, at 2 o'clock. There's some kind of a speaker, and then the dancing takes place. So a very full weekend of events down here at Arts on the Lake. I also want to talk about a few things that are happening at the library. I always try to highlight at least a couple. For history buffs, apparently there's a marvel of engineering in the Schoharie Creek Aqueduct down at the Erie Canal, and there's a virtual presentation about this tomorrow from 6 to 7:30. You can go on the Kent Library website to find out how to register for this fascinating presentation. One that's near and dear to my heart, apparently the library got a grant from the Mid-Hudson chapter of the Adirondack Mountain Club, and they have special backpacks with resources in them. A family can go pick up one of these backpacks and then go out and look for things like trees, birds, and so forth. So there's tree identifying backpack, bird watching, insects, bugs, lake life, and reptiles. And so you can pick this up, have the resources to go out and explore with your family, and you just have to drop it off at the circulation desk within a week later. And then another one I wanted to highlight, I think this has been going on for a while, there's a crafting group that's a chapter of Project Linus, and they are creating blankets by knitting, crocheting, quilting, and so forth. And then these blankets are provided to children in hospitals or crisis situations. They meet on Thursdays at 3:30, and meetings this month will be June 15th and June 22nd. And they still have ongoing tech support on Saturdays at the library, which was funded through ARPA funds. So check out the library website. There's much more, but that's what I wanted to highlight tonight. Thank you.
I just want to say that blanket, that the crafting, the blankets that they're making, my children go to St. James, and they actually took part in that, and they made a bunch of blankets for that, for Project Lioness. So it's a great organization. Anyone else up here?
The 4th of July fireworks, we're going to be having that on July 1st. I will be out looking to raise monies for that event, so I'll be your local business owner. Be prepared to see this face knocking on your door soon, looking for donations.
What outfit will you be wearing?
Yeah, good question. It depends on how long it takes me to get the money. Underwear? Let's take dollars.
I wasn't going there. Too far.
Good.
Any public comment?
Also the Summer Festival at Lake Carmel Beach 3 on July 8th.
Okay, great.
I'm gonna say it out loud. They didn't
Yeah,
hear it back
it-
there.
July 8th is the Lake Carmel Summer Festival, starting at 11.
We'll make sure to announce that at
Starting
the
at
next
11.
meeting with more detail.
There will be lifeguard races, activities, DJ,
Food trucks.
food, not trucks, I think it's a food.
No, food trucks.
Food truck?
Yeah.
Food, not a food truck.
There's a caterer.
Yes, it's not a
caterer,
truck. It's
caterer.
not coming in, it's coming in
Right.
a truck, but it's not serving it out of the truck, okay? Anyone else?
We're waiting on the
The engineering is being done.
Sean, you had them out there just recently again, right?
That's correct. Yep, they were doing measurements, to come up with an idea if they reuse the building, what they want to do, or if they end up, or making an idea if we build a new building.
The cost analysis.
Cost analysis.
We will determine that once we see the cost analysis. We need to see it on paper. We don't know what it's gonna cost us.
It's moving.
It's moving. They were out there, what, it was just last week or so.
Correct, yeah. It's government. But
He'll
it's
be at your
moving.
door. You don't even have to go find him.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
right there.
I'll be, see you in a couple days.
The other project we're working on is the old police station, and they are saying very soon that we should have the engineering and architectural designs of that, so we can start finalizing what's gonna go in there and everything. We're excited. We've got some good projects going on.
Yes, we
To see,
do.
hope to see the end of them soon.
Any other public comment?
I think I'm going to do a plug for our highway superintendent. I'm sure our Lake Carmel residents have seen the signs, but there is paving that's going to be going on for quite a few weeks. I believe it's supposed to start next week and go for 2 or 3 weeks. So please, 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 it's a great project that's going on, but please, please, please watch out for the workers out there, and please have patience while you're driving around town.
Yeah, they're gonna be paving the lake shore roads, I think, around Lake Carmel.
Correct.
I did see a digital sign up, but I don't remember the dates on it. It's coming up soon, though. June 12th? Okay.
But they will be moving that digital sign so I can have it for e-waste day, and then putting the digital sign back. So just so you know, if it disappears, it doesn't mean the paving's not happening. It means I need the sign out here, so. Any other public comment? No.
You really gotta step up, or we can't.
Yeah.
They're not hearing you on TV.
And
Anne may have already mentioned, but at the Kent Public Library, our summer reading program is starting with our kickoff on Saturday, June 24th, starting at 11, and we'll be having all kinds of activities for children to encourage reading all summer long. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank-
Yeah, hi, I'm with New York Citizens Audit, and I have a package here for each of you.
Thank you.
So,
I'd like to point out that this is nothing to do with town board business. And in view of that, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. I don't know how my colleagues feel.
Well, you know what, I don't know what it is. Could you at least state your name and what it is,
Sure,
and then
yeah,
we'll make
sure,
that decision.
My name is Kevin Murray. I'm with New York Citizens Audit. This is in regards to, New York Citizens Audit is a volunteer citizens group that did an audit of the 2020 general election and found major discrepancies in that audit. And we're now approaching all the towns with a resolution to audit the 2022 general election because of all the discrepancies that we found in 2020. And so we're approaching the towns mainly because the towns are the elected representatives closest to the people, and they're the ones that care most. You know, they care most about what the people care about. So if you
So
in that
just quickly, what does the town board, help me understand, what does the town board resulution, what does it do for your organization?
We're appealing to all the towns in New York State. We're making an appeal to all the towns in New York State. We've made appeals for the resolution to over 145 towns so far, and we're asking the towns to adopt the resolution to have an audit of the 2022 general election, just because of all the discrepancies that we discovered in the audit that New York Citizens Audit did in 2020. So there's been no resolution from 2020 until.
So let's ask our attorney, the town wouldn't have any power in this, would we?
No, and I'm not even sure what election they're talking about. The general election is
The
the
general
federal,
state
is it the
election?
state?
The general, the New York, the general election,
The
correct?
federal election or the state election?
The federal election or the state election?
My understanding was that it was the election system that they're trying to audit, not the elections. But in any case, this has no bearing on town business. I would respectfully request my board colleagues to consider my motion to adjourn the meeting, and I do plan to recuse myself from any further from this conversation.
I don't see what we can do for you at this point. You know, it's a big packet. It's something we can certainly take a look at and let our attorney tell us if we have any authority to do anything with at this point in time. All right?
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. So if the public wanted to know, how would they be able to find you online?
The website for New York Citizens Audit is auditny.com, and all the information is there. You know, it's,
Thank you very much.
The reports are all there. Thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn to executive session for personnel issues.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. See you on the 20th.